How do you adjust for the year built? Do you adjust for the year built, whether it's 2 years off or a year off, or do you just not mess with it because it's not within that 5 to 10, that 5 year built time,
generation? Yeah.
Yeah.
So great question. I sometimes have to compare two properties that are in completely different build generations because there's nothing else available for me to look at. So here's where I'll start. If I have a comp that's within 5 years, I will use that first. If there's nothing available within 5 years, then I'll go to 10.
Okay.
If there's nothing available in 10, then I will look at it in terms of build generation. So when I think about how technology in the build in home building has increased or has escalated, we can see that, from the late 1800s to the early 1900s up to about 1940, we had some very similar building characteristics. And so the late 1800s to the early 1930s ish, that 1920s, 1930s, that's one build generation. 1920 to about 1940 is another build generation. Then come mid-century, 1950, we had a renaissance and all kinds of different architectural styles and patterns came out. And so we have a new build generation between the 50s to the early 70s. Then between the 70s till about the mid 80s, that's another build generation.
Yeah.
And between the mid 80s till about the late 80s, there was another one. And then from 1990 to 2000, from 2000 to 2010, or 2005, that's another one. And so I look at it in terms of how technology escalated or diminished. For instance, between 2002 to 2000 or 2000 to 2006, construction quality decreased in the United States.
Okay.
Comparatively. So a house built between 2000 and 2006 is actually of poorer quality than something built in the early 90s. Because of the housing boom that happened.
Okay.
And the type of building materials that they were using. And so you can see that, and you can tell that, and that's why you only want to compare within those things. So yes, can you compare houses that are in different build generations? You can. You do need to adjust. How much do you adjust? Again, it depends on the price point.
Okay.
And it's typically if your subject is of an older build generation, you have to adjust down, and that can be about 5 to 10%, not 1,000%.
Percent of the subject price
Of the ARV, correct?
ARV price.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. 10%.